Awesome, cool. All right. Well, if everyone's ready, I'm really excited to go and share some stuff about snakes, and I'm going to expand it on to other reptiles as well. Something I'm really passionate about. My background is with working with sea turtles down in southern Florida. So I'm really excited to go and share reptiles to you. So the first thing I wanted to go and talk to you guys about is what even is a reptile? So humans are mammals, just like your cat and dogs are mammals. And they're mammals because they have live birth, they produce milk, those sorts of things. Well, reptiles are reptiles because they're cold-blooded. So that means that whatever the outside temperature is, that's what they are inside, or it affects how they are inside. They also have scales on their body. And the scales can act as armor and temperature stuff, affects temperature. The last thing is reptiles also produce soft-shelled eggs. So reptiles produce their eggs on land and they'll hide them in the ground or in trees. Kind of like a bird almost, but their eggs are a bit softer than a bird's egg. Now snakes are underneath reptiles. So it's reptiles and then you have snakes. Whenever snakes first became a thing, they evolved from lizards. So lizards have 4 legs, snakes have no legs. So how did that happen? Well, at one point in time in history, there was a snake that only had its back 2 legs. And then slowly those legs retracted into its body and it had no legs at all. Now snakes, the snakes you've most likely seen in your life, live on the ground. So let me go and pull out a snake for you. Come here, Snakey. So here, let me get them all comfortable. Here is a red rat snake or a corn snake. They go by many different names that we received as a donation from the Silver Spring State Park. Now, he's only about a year old, so he can get much bigger. He can get about 4 feet long or so. And a corn snake, he lives on land. He'll slither through the grass. He has a very good sense of smell, and part of that sense of smell comes from his split tongue. So you've probably seen snakes have a forked tongue. It's kind of like how, oh, you're moving really fast, buddy. It's kind of like how you have 2 ears. I don't think he wants to be held right now. Anyway, we have 2 ears so we can tell which direction a sound is coming from. Well, snakes have this forked tongue, so they can tell which direction the smell is coming from. So since snakes have ears on the outside of their body, that's how they can tell where something's at. Let me put you away for now, okay? All right, so corn snake and lots of snakes live on the ground. And they'll slither around and they use this no leg strategy to sneak up on other animals or insects to eat them. But that's not the only way that snakes can get around or live. Other snakes are arboreal. And arboreal just means, oh, there's some other people in the waiting room. Arboreal means that they live in trees. And there's lots of snakes that live in trees. What they'll do is they'll wrap their body around the branch and they'll stay very, very still. And so as maybe a squirrel moves around or in the rainforest, if other things are moving around in the trees, the snakes can wait for their prey to come by. My favorite type of snake habitat, or where a snake lives, is fossorial. Fossorial means that they live under the ground. And why I like them so much is because their body is just different than other snakes. I mean, every snake, long, skinny, that kind of thing, but snakes that live under the ground, their noses are very good at digging, so they have like a hard tip on their nose, and they can crawl through the dirt and the soil underground to get around. My favorite one of those is a hognose snake. He has a little like upturned nose. I've talked about him many times on my other Zooms. And yeah, he has a really cute nose that can help dig through the ground. But those type of snakes they like to eat worms and insects majority of the time. Later on, I'll tell you about another type of snake who doesn't do that. All right. So like most people, I'm sure you're not much different in this way, but you're probably scared of snakes, or at least you have a fear that snakes are going to bite you and hurt you. Well, I totally get it. Respect a snake's area. If they want to get away, like that snake, he seemed like he was not too happy with me. He wanted to get away. He was slithering really fast. I let him do his own thing. But snakes are not that scary in and of themselves. So in Florida, there's about 6 types of venomous snakes. Venomous means that whenever they bite you, there'll be venom that will do something to your body. Sometimes, most of the time, it's not too bad, but it's still something to respect and keep your distance from if you can. Of those 6 species of snakes, only about 3 of them even get down to the Ocala area, and 1 of them lives underground. So you shouldn't interact with too many venomous snakes in the wild. Majority of them will be non-venomous. So if there's only 6 venomous snakes, there's about 45-ish of native snake species that we have in Florida that are non-venomous. This corn snake is one of them. That hognose snake I told you about earlier was another type of them. Now, you might question, remember how earlier I talked about how some snakes can climb trees or can get in trees? You might wonder how they even climb a tree to begin with. So snakes on the bottom side of their belly, they'll have, let me pull out this. Here's a rattlesnake skin. And if you look really closely, you can see that there's a bunch of scales on there. Well, all of those scales can be moved around. They're very flexible. So what snakes will do if they want to climb up in a tree, they'll stick those bottom scales out kind of like fingers. So just say they're smooth like this normally, they'll stick them out like fingers, and they'll grab onto the bark to climb up the tree. And I've seen this many times, and I know Ms. Benavides has seen it a couple of times as well. It's very common to go and see. Another thing about snakes that you might notice is that they can shed their skin. So a snake's skin can't grow, and so what they'll do is they'll shed their skin, and in the shedding of the skin, they can grow to be bigger than they were before. And for snakes that you have as pets, usually you'll go and see this right after they eat. They'll eat, and then a few days later, they'll shed their skin because they're growing from the nutrients they just ate. You'll see this a lot as well with wild snakes. Once they eat a big meal, all those nutrients from that big meal can help make their body grow. Snakes can do this up to one time a month, so 12 times a year, but you don't see it usually that often. Usually it's maybe once every other couple of months. Now, before I get into any of the other types of reptiles, I want to tell you about the weirdest snake that I can think of. There's a snake that's called the egg-eating snake, and involved in that name is eggs. What they do is they eat eggs for all their nutrition. They never eat any other snacks. All they eat is eggs. And eating an egg is kind of hard because they have this hard shell, of course. It's what the shells are there for. So what happens is how we have a backbone. On the snake's backbone, they have a little spine that sticks out about midway through their body, and they can crack an egg on that spine. And thus they can get the yolk out and eat all the nutrients inside the egg. All right, here's where I have a question for everyone. If I have my teachers just pick a student from your class, and one at a time, we can go and answer, what is another type of reptile? So I'll give you all about 30 seconds, a minute or so to go and question your class. And then if I can just get Miss Long to come first and give me what her class picks for the reptile. So we talked about snakes. I may have example of a few other reptiles here. So Miss Long's class can go first. Any guesses?
A turtle.
A turtle, yes. So here's a turtle right here, at least a turtle shell. And me and Miss Benavides on our drive to the museum today actually saw this turtle. So you've probably seen a gopher turtle, and those are the ones that makes those burrows. Well, this turtle right here is called a box turtle. And what's so cool about them is whenever they get scared, rather than just going inside their shell like a gopher tortoise does and pull their arms in, a box turtle can do that, but also the front of their shell on the bottom side folds up, and it literally makes a box to where at no side can you see feet or legs. It's completely a box. All right, now Miss Andriola, if you can go and give me a reptile.
Okay. Deshaun wanted to know if you ever had a king cobra.
Or a python.
Or a python.
Look, I've never seen a king cobra or a python. We'll go and answer some questions after this in a second. But if you have any reptiles you can think of.
Yeah. What?
Alligator.
Alligator?
An alligator, yes, an alligator is another type of reptile. Good job. So alligators are very common in Florida. Where we're at in Marion County, we have alligators all the time. But if you go down to South Florida, you can even get some crocodiles. And I think they're pretty cool too. All right, so just for time's sake, I'm gonna go and say a few more things and then I'm gonna open up to questions. Let's see, what do I have? So I talked about the box turtle, and this is a smaller box turtle, but he doesn't get too much bigger. Maybe he gets double that size. But here's a gopher turtle. And so like I was saying, they can pull their legs in right in here. So their head will stick out here, and they can pull their legs in, their heads in, and that kind of stuff. I also have a baby gopher turtle. So you can see here, it's another baby gopher turtle. All right, just because I want to get to y'all's questions, let me go ahead and get to that now. So how about Miss Smith? If you want to go and ask a question, here's your time.
All right, boys and girls, do you have a question? Jeffrey, what is your question?
How long can snakes live?
So there's thousands of different types of snakes in the world, and each one can live for a different amount of time. Some can live upwards of 60, 70 years. Some can only live maybe 4 years, 5 years. So it just depends on what species of snake you have in your area. I see the ones in Florida, maybe 10 years or so, a good average. Answer the question in chat. Yes, iguanas are reptiles. That's a good one. Geckos, so you have the whole lizard category. And then as for rattlesnakes, there's 3 different types of rattlesnakes in Florida, or 2 different types of rattlesnakes in Florida. And they shed for the same reason other snakes shed, of growing. All right, so now, Ms. Kessler, any questions for you?
Yes, my class has some questions.
Awesome.
Okay, raise your hand. David, what's your question?
What do king cobras evolve from?
What was that?
Do king cobras evolve from anything?
Do they run from anything?
Do they evolve from anything?
Evolve from anything. So all snakes evolved from lizards. So once you got into a snake form, then you can pick what you're good at. So some snakes are good at climbing, some snakes are good for going underground. So just king cobras were good at what they did, which was grow really, 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 really long and to be venomous.
I also have a fact about.
He says he has a fact about them.
Oh, okay. Give me your fact, and then I gotta move on to another class, okay? What's your fact?
They can see like from half a mile away.
He,
Right?
sa-
They can see from like half a mile away or something.
he says they can see a half a mile away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the case. You taught me something, so that's awesome. Good job. All right, so now we can go to Miss Haynes's class.
So they're asking, was that alligator once alive?
This alligator, I think it's a mold. I don't think it's the real alligator. Yeah, no, he feels like softish. But it was molded after a real alligator. We do have plenty of alligator skulls around the room that I'm looking at, but I wanted a full boy. Okay. How about strong?
Okay, if you guys want to type in your questions, I will put them down in chat and see if he answers any of them. So type in your questions and I'll put them in the chat and see if he answers any of them.
Yep, I can go and do that. After I get through one round of asking questions live, then I can go through the chat. So Miss Strong.
Okay, it's Savannah.
How many snake species are in the world? 1,000.
How many snake species are in the world?
There is, I believe, like 4,000 or it's in the thousands of snake species in the world. I know there's 6,000 frog species. Snakes, I think there's a little bit less of, but there's still a lot of them.
Okay, Anna,
What is the most dangerous snake?
which of them is the most dangerous?
I believe there's an Australian snake as the most venomous, but there's also the black mamba as in Africa. I think is the longest, maybe it's the longest venomous snake. There's quite a few large venomous snakes. All right, so now my last class. What do you got for me? Is that Fizzer's? I can't see the name.
Okay, you have to be real quiet because we're not on mute.
Is it Pizzerzack? All right, if you want to go and write any of your questions in chat, I'll just go and try to fire them off as fast as I can. So if it goes too fast, slow it down for me, but I'll try to answer some questions. What makes a snake a reptile? Let me move this out of the way so I can see it better. Okay, so what makes a snake a reptile? Reptiles are cold-blooded and they have soft eggs. That's pretty much, they have scales too. That sums up what a reptile is. Snakes underneath that because they follow all those characteristics. So they have eggs and they have scales.
Do you have a question?
All right, so we have, I've never been bitten by a snake. This snake is super cuddly, so he'll never bite me. I already know it. But other snakes, not so friendly sometimes. I've never been to Havana. Actually, I have been to Havana one time. How many teeth does an alligator have? I don't really know, but I think they're pretty good at growing back their teeth if they lose them. They're pretty good at staying healthy. How many bones an alligator have? More than a human does. So I think humans have 200 bones, 220 bones. Alligators have way more than that. Longest snake, that would be the reticulated python. They can go to like 25, 30 feet, absolutely enormous. King cobras, I think, are 14 feet is the biggest they get. How many alligators? I think about 10 different species of alligators, but our American alligator is the only one we have in Florida. Is the egg snake deadly? Because they only eat eggs, they stay away from humans, so we're good. They're deadly to the eggs, but that's about it. You can tell if a snake is a boy or a girl. Very good question. It's based on how long their tail is. So you can see where a snake's butt is. That's something you can see. And if it's really short after the butt, it's a female. If it's really long after a butt, it's a male.
Okay, what is it?
How long a snake's been alive? That's like 35 million years or something. It's a long, long time.
Okay, I'm going to mute for just.
Venomous and poisonous are not the same thing. So this is the easiest way to remember it. Poisonous, if I bite it and it hurts me, poisonous. If it bites me, venomous. That pretty much sums it up. So venomous, don't get bit. You're fine.
Okay. Whoops. Sorry.
I, right now, do not have a pet snake, but this pet snake, Snakey, is pretty much my pet snake. Everyone in the museum loves him. He's super cool. But I am possibly getting a chameleon, so we'll see if he comes on the Zoom soon. Are a snake eggs small? Again, depending on the snake, they can be different sizes. This corn snake, his eggs will be like ping pong ball size or smaller probably. But you start getting those reticulated pythons or those really big snakes, they'll probably have bigger eggs too. I've ever seen a sea turtle. I worked at a sea turtle hospital. And so I've seen hundreds and hundreds of sea turtles, and they're the coolest things ever. Who would win, a python or an alligator? So in Florida, we have an invasive species, which just means that it shouldn't be in Florida. It's the Burmese python down in the Everglades. And they have found alligators inside this python's belly. How fast can a snake go? I'd say probably 20 miles an hour. They can go as fast as a car. That's my guess. Ooh, someone has a chameleon as a pet. Awesome. The second most venomous snake, it's really between that black mamba in Africa. I think it's like a brown snake. I think it's called the brown snake in Australia. Are geckos in Africa? There are African geckos, and the geckos that you do find in Florida, some of them are from Africa. Most of them are from like Central America or were made or founded in Florida. As for sea turtles, I have a question. I want to see if people can check and answer for me. So sea turtles can't pull their legs inside their shell like a gopher tortoise can. So a gopher tortoise has these openings where they can, see if you can see through. They have those openings where they can pull their body in. Sea turtles can't do that. And I want you to tell me, why can't sea turtles do that? There's one good answer for it. Let's see if people can check and find it out for me. The gopher tortoise pulls their legs in so that if someone's attacking them or if an animal's attacking them, they don't get bit. Okay, because they have to swim. Yeah, that's got so quick. That was really quick. So if a sea turtle had all these openings on their shell, it would make them slower in the water. And so they seal off all the areas where their limbs stick out so that they don't have any wind or any of the water resistance. They can just swim really, really fast and nothing stops them. But the downside of that is things can get stuck on their limbs or a shark can bite their limbs off. So it's really common to see fishing lines stuck on sea turtles' arms or for a boat to accidentally hit the turtle. So it has its pluses and minuses. It's good for some things and bad for other things. You had asked earlier, how fast can snakes crawl? And sea turtles, they can swim about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So having all those sealed off areas are really good for them. Alligators can live longer than humans. They can live for like 80 years pretty regularly. But alligators here in Florida don't really have many predators. So who's going to hurt them kind of thing. All right, so if I don't see any questions, I have one last thing I kind of want to show y'all if you're okay, but this is totally for the teacher's discretion. We fed Snaky last week, and so if you want to go and see a video, if you think it's okay for your class to go and see a video of a snake eating, stick around. Otherwise, I have another Zoom planned for next week at the same time, so Wednesday at 1:15, and you're welcome to come to that. But if you want to stick around to see the snake eat, stick around like 30 more seconds or so and you'll see it. But I want to give you all time to leave if you need to leave.
Yes.
You will not hurt my feelings if you need to leave. So king cobras evolved after dinosaurs had left Earth. So dinosaurs left, and then other things came in its place. And one of those things happened to go and be king cobras. All right, so I think if you wanted to leave at this point, you've already left. So I can go and show y'all some videos of snaky eating. Let me go back real quick. Let me share my screen. So now you can see what I see. Boom, boom. Here's Snaky. So you'll go and see Snaky smelling. It's a mouse that was raised to go and be eaten by a snake, so he was humanely killed and whatnot. But you'll see he's tasting them. He's putting his tongue out, tasting the air. And what's cool about snakes is they can unhinge that jaw, so they can fit really large things inside their mouth. So you'll see Snaky opens his mouth really, really wide. And you'll also normally see that snakes will eat a animal from its head to its tail. That's because it's usually the way the body is shaped, that the head is the skinniest part, and they can work from the skinniest part to the biggest part. Yep, so I just want to go and share that with you. Boom, there we go. Sea turtle shells are made from the same stuff that your fingernails are made from. So it's keratin, I think. So they can feel, if you scratch a turtle shell, it'd be like scratching your fingernails. Like you can still feel it. So sometimes turtles like back rubs, usually not. But I mentioned that because if you hurt a turtle shell, they'll still feel it. So you don't want to hurt them if you can get around it. All right, well, I really enjoyed talking to everyone today. You guys had great questions. And if you can show up next week, I'd absolutely love it. So thank you for coming this week. All right, bye.